Since the 1995 Source Awards, when Outkast established themselves as one of the most prominent acts in rap by winning Best Rap Group and having that moment on stage.
Like this though, I'm tired of folks, you know what I'm saying? Them closed-minded folks, you know what I'm saying? It's like we got a demo tape and don't nobody want to hear it, but it's like this, the South got something to say.
I feel like Atlanta at that point established themselves as a real player, as one of the most prominent cities in music, not just hip hop. And from then it was just on a climb until by the early to mid 2000s, when I think they sort of established themselves as the hub, right? Artists like Outkast, and then eventually Ludacris, Future. I can go on and on with this, but I feel like right now Atlanta is the hub for rap music. And then you still have New York, who's always going to be a player, LA, who's always a player. And now we have the ability to get rappers from all over the place. But with hip hop becoming a declining genre, American hip hop becoming a declining genre on the global scale, I wanted to talk about 3 cities that I think are going to establish themselves as music hubs over the next 10 years. You know what I'm saying? I got 3 of them, and I think all of them are going to play a major part in different ways. First is London. I think London has the ability to do what New York did for so long. And I think it's just because of the diversity in the city, right? New York has everything that you could potentially ever want in terms of a cultural standpoint, right? Even though hip hop was the most prominent for a very long time, you have so many people from so many different places in a city like London that you can get a lot of African influence, a lot of Caribbean influence, a lot of European influence, which you can't really discount because it is mainly European. But I will say, with Afro beats on the rise, with Caribbean music as well on the rise, I see artists who are already established there having an even bigger presence in the long run, right? Like Stormzy being in the position he's in now, Dave on the rise, Central C on the rise, some of my favorite artists, Unknown T, Nux, and a lot of Afrobeats artists, or a lot of African acts, move from Africa. Instead of going to New York to try and get popping, they go to London. You know what I'm saying? You might not understand really the dynamics of that if you're in America, because how would you know? But as I've seen, when they're doing promo, when they're trying to get people behind a record or behind an album, they end up going to London. And so I see London as being one of the major players over the next couple of years. And I think if any city has the potential to take the crown away from Atlanta, in my opinion, second, I have San Juan, or Puerto Rico as a whole, right? Puerto Rico is an island, so I would encapsulate the whole island in a way, but I'm just saying the hub of Puerto Rico is going to be, or it already is, a major player, right? Last year was the first year that Latin music crossed $1 billion. And a lot of that came from Puerto Rico. You have artists like Bad Bunny, Ozuna, Mike Towers. Latin music is interesting because you can get artists from all over, right? I enjoy Sech from Panama. You got Karol G. You got others who are from like Colombia, or even Mexico has somewhat established themselves over the last year or two in terms of a global market. You know what I'm saying? You got a lot of Mexican bands that I've been seeing pop up, Peso Pluma. But I think in terms of Latin music, the hub for that is San Juan or Puerto Rico. So I see them being a more major player and collaborating with bigger artists from other places over the next couple of years. I think we're already starting to see stuff like that, right? Ozuna did a Afrobeats album earlier this year, which was very unique and interesting, and something I hadn't seen from many Spanish acts, and something I think not enough people take advantage of, with the dembow beat being so similar through dancehall, reggaeton, and Afrobeats. I think a lot of artists are going to start to do that cross collaborating, right? I know Rema did a song with Feed or Faid. I'm not sure how you pronounce his name. But like I said, Puerto Rico definitely going to become a hub over the next couple of years. And lastly, I would say Lagos. I've been trying to figure out how to get to Africa over the next year or two. It's on the top of my bucket list. And I think that all my favorite music for a very long time was only coming out of Lagos. You know what I'm saying? A lot of artists go there to get it popping in Africa, not just Nigeria. And I think we're going to continue to see artists come out of there. So far, we've seen Rema, Ashake, Wizkid, Burna, who else? Davido, Olamide, already established acts in Africa. but we're starting to see them get a lot more global push as well. And I just see a lot more artists coming out of there. We still got Thames, Benson, Ruger. Like there's so many, and there's so many that we probably haven't heard of, at least over here in the West. And people I'm more excited to get into. But I see that city as being one as a dark horse and potentially the biggest music hub in the world over the next couple of years. The only thing I see potentially hindering it or keeping it from being that would be something of a language barrier, right? They speak English there, but it is a mixture of languages like Yoruba and Pidgin. And I think that depending on what the most popular songs that come out of there are and how like America takes to a lot of them, I think that could potentially hinder it and maybe give the other two cities a bigger of a leg up. But the music out of there is impeccable and it's something that I love. Honorable mention, which I don't think has the potential to be the number one hub or the number one city, but something that's definitely making noise right now. I'm going to group two cities together, Johannesburg, Soweto, South Africa, right? The Amapiano sound has influenced so much in Africa over the last year or two when it comes to production, right? Ashake, Benson, Rema, Wizkid have all been influenced by the Amapiano sound, the log drum. Producers like Blaze Beats, Magic Sticks, people of that nature have started to influence the Afrobeat scene there. But that all stems from the Amapiano in South Africa. And I think that it will continue to build. And I think that people looking for a break from traditional rap in the States on a global scale are going to turn to different types of house music. And right now, my favorite house music is Amapiano. So I definitely see it becoming a staple in playlists and in people's lives over the foreseeable future. I just don't know if it'll be number one. What cities do you think will have the most sway or the most prominence over the next 10 years? If not ones that I mentioned, who do you think it'll be? Who do you think has the potential to be the number one city or a big player in where music is going over the next 10 years? Let me know in the comments.